Here's my question, though. We're talking about how the president is singing the same song that he's been singing all along. This is not different. He doesn't have any support. In fact, he probably has less support on this than he did before, particularly after the midterm elections. So why did he just do this? I mean, he didn't announce a national emergency so that he could use some sort of authority that he doesn't think he has otherwise to go build this thing. Why did this just happen?
Because I've covered immigration politics since back in McCain-Kennedy. I was at the May Day protest when the Sensenbrenner bill that would make it a felony to be here illegally started, and I've been covering it since then. And as long as I've been covering it, there is a veto point, which is the Steve Kings and the Stephen Millers of the world have more intensity on the issue than anyone else. And because of that intensity, even when President Bush and McCain and Kennedy got together to try to pass comprehensive reform, they've been able to kill it. And when it passed the Gang of Eight bill, they've been able to kill it. What he is relying on is the intensity of the sentiment among the people who feel flush about it.
It's a constant. There's nothing that has caused that to spike now, right? So he tried.
But it's worked before. It's killed 2 bills.
He doesn't even care about the bill, though. I think it's. I don't disagree with any of that, but it's something simpler than that, more primal. I think it's because it's Trump, right? Before the holidays, a close Trump ally said, I said, "What's he doing?" It was the Mattis debacle, spiraling out of control, and I said, "What's he doing?" He said he lives in abject terror of his base and Robert Mueller, and so I think you can't control this one, right? You can't control what Robert Mueller's doing. But the base he can keep, the base feels that way, feels exactly as Chris just described. They feel that intensity, and so you can keep them ginned up.
But don't you, so the base intensity on this, though, is something that doesn't always respond to the same amount of stimulus, right? You have to keep upping it a little bit
activity,
in order to keep
right?
It, right? And so there is no, there's the shutdown, but there's no new argument. There's no new evidence of support. There's no new,
and the shutdown may peel some of that off. There's also no data that I've seen that shows that the base that grows when you shut the government down. You may actually lose some because there's a lot of cross pressure with his base with the federal government shutdown.
And when you read the data out there, and both sort of anecdotally and in the actual public opinion data, I remember the last time that I saw the Republican base really engaged was in the Kavanaugh fight. They were unquestionably engaged. There was all kinds of data that showed it. They were there. I heard anecdotal data of friends having fights with distant relatives they didn't realize were Republicans who were like, I don't like Trump, but what they're doing to Kavanaugh. That's not happening here.
No.
That we are not seeing any of that level of actual mobilization engagement of people outside of the smallest core.
Can I tell you what I think explains why the president did this? So the Democrats just won control of the House.
Right.
The Democrats came back this past week, and it was like, whoa, the Democrats are the new protagonists in the Washington story. And everybody's covering all the new members being sworn in, and then the swearing in of Nancy Pelosi, and all the kids up there with her on the dais, and what are the Democrats going to do, and who are going to be the committee chairs, and what's their agenda. And the president was not getting talked about. And so the president summoned reporters to the White House to come see him do a White House press briefing in which he didn't take any questions from the press.
Yeah.
And then there's, another day of coverage that's about the Democrats and what they're going to be doing in Washington and what they're demanding in their first day and all this stuff. And the president pulls another stunt and says, no, I actually need you to pay attention to me now. I'm going to be giving remarks now. I'm going to... And I honestly wonder if it just occurred to him that he had never done an Oval Office address, and that's yet another thing he could do to turn the spotlight to himself, regardless of having anything to say.
And a friend of his has said at other points in the presidency that he is the sun king, and anything that obscures his access to the rays of sunlight drives him mad. So sort of like a mad king, he was there watching everything you described and said, well, it also shows how shallow his view of the presidency is. Like, what other tricks do I have?
Yes.
What can I do?
I know, I'll do one of those cabinet meetings.
Plane?
Do we need to have a cabinet meeting about anything? No? Or is everybody around this table an acting secretary? Yes. Can we have the camera stand not just for a spray, but for the entire hour and a half that I'd like them in here? How many more stunts are there?
But the difference here, what's so nuts about the situation is that a lot of times, I always feel like he would rather be kind of a pundit that people paid attention to than the actual president. Like he wants
Brian Kilmeade's job.
Yeah, he wants to give you his takes. The president's got takes. He wants to share his takes. He loves that the nation listens to his takes.
Correct.
But he doesn't really love running the country. But the thing is here, all of that kind of weird theatrics he does, the cabinet meeting, all that, the government shut down.
That's exactly right.
So
people
nuts
are
about
suffering.
the
Right.
situation.
Like the thing with the cabinet room, it hurts us because we have to watch it and listen to it, but it doesn't hurt
It's
the
harmless.
country.
It's
You know,
basically
those people
harmless,
say ridiculous things about the dear leader, and they have to go home and face their wives or their kids. No one's hurt or injured in that exercise. People are hurting now.
Yeah.
The economy will take a hit now. This is not funny anymore.
Yeah. Chris Hayes, Nicole Wallace, my friends, thank you very
Great
much
to
for
hear.
being here
Thank you.
with us tonight. As you said, Chris, I think aptly the best pundit point I have heard over the course of the entire day was, this is weird. This is actually truly weird, but having you guys
Weird
here
night.
makes it better. Thank you.